Hello, friends. Welcome back to Love Wrestling. Spencer Love here. I may sound a little hoarse, but I am happy as a clam to be chatting with Gisele Shaw. I told you guys I have a dream interview coming up. This is it, chatting with someone who has been a huge influence, whether it's on her time in Alberta or her current status as a double champ for Progress and RevPro. It's cool as hell to have you on. We're going to get into the nitty gritty of your early career and, of course, what you're up to today. But how are you doing? How are things? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much. I have stayed busy, during the lockdown, which is very fortunate and thankful for. And it's been just crazy as well since the shows, the live show are back now. So I've just been busy every single week.
It's a good problem to have, like we were saying right off the bat. How has it been getting really back into full force? Like you said, you stayed busy, but the live experience, getting the live crowd, and of course, winning 2 championships over the last little bit is a bit of a big change. So how have you adapted really getting back into things at 110%?
Well, I mean, I was born for this. I was built for this. I'm prepared, since day one. So, it is a huge responsibility to be trusted with this and the division. So I take that very seriously. But also have fun at the same time. But it's been great, and I just want to see where I can take this from.
Absolutely.
Or take this to, rather.
Where we're going to go to from here.
There we go. you know what I'm talking about.
We'll get there eventually, right? I call it my Michael Scott syndrome sometimes, is I'll start a sentence and try and find it halfway through, right? But we're going to dive into that a ton, because I think what you guys have been doing over in the UK as a whole, yourself specifically, has been so great over the last little bit. But like I said, I'm an Albertan wrestling fan. You were quite literally on one of the first wrestling shows that I ever got the opportunity to go out to.
Yeah.
It is so cool to be able to ask you, what was it like when you wrestled your first ever cage match in Alberta against Kat Von Hees? Because that was the show I got to go to.
Oh, wow. That was,
right?
That feels like so long ago, but that was really, really fun. I love Kat. I feel like she and I have wrestled so many times in Alberta, but also got to experience and pushing the envelope together, where we weren't doing your regular wrestling matches. We had a street fight, we had a cage match, we had all sorts of matches. So it was really interesting, because I have never been in a cage match before, but I was in there with someone who I trusted, so I knew that it was going to go well. It was very scary. I mean, you watch you watch that on TV when you're younger, and you're like, man, that is insane. And then to be put in that position to actually be performing inside that steel cage, it was scary, but really fun at the end. I'm really happy that I got to experience it at least once.
How surreal is it? You even touched on it right off the bat, that it feels like forever ago. You're about 7 or 8 years into your pro wrestling career at this point. Is it surreal? Is it an accomplishment? What do you feel when you hear that?
Well, it's 6 years, actually.
Close.
But but close enough, but close. No,
hey, blame. I always will blame, and very respectfully, I'll blame cage match on this one.
Cage match, do your research. No, it's it's pretty crazy, because Lance has always told me, and I'm sure he's told his students, that it goes by really fast, and you don't really think about it. You just kind of go, and you're on the road. It's your job.
Yeah.
But to look back and think wow, I've been wrestling for 6 years, and it blows my mind, because I think that I just, for me, it feels like I just went to training a few months ago.
Yeah.
And then it's like a snap of a finger, and here I am doing what I'm doing.
Absolutely. What was it about Lance Storm that made you want to go to the SWA? Because I'm certain, you wanted to be a wrestler, excuse me, since you were a kid, but it wasn't as
Yeah.
simple as like wrestling schools. Lance Storm, there we go. What was it about him that made you want to come to Calgary and train?
So I was living in Edmonton at that time, and PWA ran Edmonton, Calgary, and a friend of mine, they're like, come to the show, and I thought, okay, is this going to be a wrestling that's like WB style, or is this going to be Olympic wrestling? I tried Olympic wrestling when I was in high school, and then I just was not I wasn't a fan of it. It's not for me. I've always just wanted to be like a pro wrestler. So they told me, they said, hey, you know what? It's WDB style. So I said, oh, well, you know what? Count me in. And I talked to the promoter and, you know, after the show, and I was like, I really love this. I am in love with it. And I really want to be a wrestler. Like, how do I start? And they said, well, we think that you should go get trained. And so, I searched up promotions and stuff, or sorry, wrestling schools. And, near me was Lance Storm in Calgary. So I thought, okay, this is pretty cool. I've watched him, growing up, and he's literally, I think Edmonton, Calgary is only 3 hours.
Yeah, 2 if you drive like
Yeah.
I do sometimes.
Yeah. So like, I said, you know what, like, to heck with it, move to Calgary, make a decision, and just like, let's go for it. And so yeah, that's how I got into it. And it was pretty surreal, like going into school, because like I said, like I was a fan of him. I watched him growing up, and then now I'm going to school, and then to walk into the school, and then he's like sitting there like waiting for his students to arrive, and I'm just like, oh my god, like this is so cool. I'm like, I'm just gonna like be excited for now, but he's like, I have to be professional and be like, hi, how are you, how's it going? But then like deep inside, I was like, like, this is so cool.
Now, sometimes Lance gets this reputation as like the overly serious, can't have fun dude. We all saw how he was portrayed sometimes on TV. So, without getting either of us in trouble, give us your funniest Lance Storm story.
Yeah. Oh God, here we go. I wasn't prepared for this. No, you know what? Like, he's told us so many stories. But I feel like he does laugh. I can tell you that he smiles a lot. He's very not that like serious all the time. But I feel like the SWA is such a it's almost like a cult per se. So I feel like I can't be like giving out secrets, you know what I mean?
That's completely fair. I can respect that. There's no worries there. Like I said, I'm asking for a good story, but my priority is I ain't getting in trouble with someone I got a lot of respect for either. Like, so that's completely fine.
I mean, yeah, I'm like, but I definitely guarantee he's made me laugh so much. He's such a funny guy. He's definitely not just, but like at the top of my head, I can't really remember of a time where, it's just like, oh, like that was really funny. But like all I can say is like I had such a blast there, and we laughed, and it was a great experience. And I feel like it's so sad, almost, that when he closed down his school, that a lot of aspiring pro wrestlers and future wrestlers don't have that opportunity to go to his school, because I feel like he's the best of the best, and I just feel fortunate that I was able to go there.
Yeah. You even hear people raving about the online sessions, and I'm certain they're great, but it's definitely not ever going to be like what you would get on like a one-on-one or in a class experience, right? So one of the best memories I've got of him is a match that you were involved in as well. And I believe if it wasn't her first, it was her first in Edmonton, wrestling Rachel Ellering with him as the guest referee. So maybe take me a little through that, and then how cool it is just to see Rachel succeeding again, much like yourself, on such a high level right now.
Yeah, I think that was her first match with me. And I think she debuted as like this camera girl in Calgary. And I was like, oh gosh, what was I saying? I think I called her right into the ring because I think there's a video of this somewhere. But I called her into the ring and I was like, oh, I need you to get a shot of like my of my good side and like my better side, and then I was like, oh no, I'm like doing the back. And then I think she was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And I was like, who the hell do you think you are? And then I think she pushed me or something, and then I kicked her, and then so it was a nice, just set up this storyline that we're going to have. And yeah, no, and it's great. We had so much fun working together, and obviously she moved back to America where she's from, and it was really nice to see someone who is succeeding, and like now she's in Impact now as well, and she's flourishing. So I'm always happy for anybody who's flourishing.
Absolutely. You talked about her move. What inspired you move to Toronto a couple of years after you started wrestling out here?
I just felt like, when I started there, obviously you're new, there's so many things that you need to accomplish. And then wrestling there, I think I wrestled there for 2-3 years, and I felt like I peaked, and I was like, okay, I need to do something different, because Lance has always said, like, every 2-3 years, like, I think you should change things up a bit, whether it be your character or where you're wrestling or whatnot, but just so you're not being complacent. So I thought about that, and I was like, okay, either I stay here or I follow my dreams. And I feel like follow my dreams means going to a bigger city where there's more exposure.
Yeah.
So I thought, why not, take the plunge, go out there. Went to Toronto, and I feel like I think I wrestled there for a year, and again felt like that. I was like, okay, I'm like, what is next? Like, I need to get to the next level. I'm always like, let's go. And then I went to a Pete Dunne seminar, and he was saying, like, have you ever trained in the UK? And I was like, no, not really. He's like, oh, I think like you do well there. I was like, oh, sick. And then, so I just thought about it, and I was like, like, what? Like, it's a huge move. It's not just like Edmonton, Toronto.
Yeah.
It's like,
there's immigration and all that sort of
hours.
stuff you got to figure out, rather than just like going down the street.
Exactly. But then I was like, you know what? Like, you only live once. I might as well just, make the most of it. And if I don't take chances, then I'll never know, like if I didn't take this, if I didn't jump off the cliff per se, then I wouldn't be here, and I'll always be wondering, like, what if? So I just thought, you know what, head on there, do your thing, and here we are 2-3 years later.
Exactly right. What have you maybe noticed are the biggest differences between the Canadian and the British scenes? The biggest thing that I've heard is, you look at just the map itself, and the distance is obviously a little easier to facilitate, but where else have you maybe seen some differences?
So it's a little funny story about that. So here in Canada, we're traveling about 6 hours to 8 hours to maybe 24 hours or more to go to a booking. But here, they're like, I'm like, how far is the venue? And they're like, oh, it's probably about 3 hours. Like, oh, it's so long. And I'm like, wait, it 3 hours one way, or is that both ways? And they're like, yeah, let's say two, both ways. I'm like, 3 hours both ways. I'm like, that's nothing, And they're like, oh, but it's so far away. But yeah. And the one thing too is that in the wintertime here, obviously it's not the same. We're in Canada where you just get a lot of snow, and you're actually snowed in. But my first show here, I think it was February at UPW. And and it snowed, and they're like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Are you going to be able to make it to the show? We're snowed in. And I'm like, where's the snow? And it's like, yeah, it was so small. And then when we were driving, the snow was on the oh god, what is it called? On the side of the road.
You don't need to ask me any driving advice here. I'm as pure off as anyone.
yeah, I was like, what is that? I'm like, yeah, so it's like on the side of the road. So it wasn't even on the road, but then they're driving so slow. And I'm like, well, yeah, but then they're like, we're snowed in. So that's like huge difference that, they think that being snowed in is maybe like 1 centimeter, maybe less than that. I don't know, like a snow. So that's funny to me. The fans, I would say the difference is in North America, they're very they get into it, like hecklers, like, oh, this and that. It's cool. Here in the UK, they do songs
Yeah.
where they sing your name and stuff and whatnot, and it's like it's the coolest thing ever. When I first came here, I was like, you know what? I was like, I really want them to sing my name, and then at least now I'll know that like I've made it. So yeah, so now every now and then like they sing my name, and I'm just like, this is so cool. But like deep down inside, I'm like, I'm a badass. But like
Yeah.
inside, I'm like, yes, come on, sing for me. Like, yeah, it's pretty
Come on,
cool.
guys,
I
let's
love
keep
it.
it going. That's so,
Yeah,
so
I
cool.
know.
Again, you
Yeah.
see the videos of the shows out there. I've never been lucky enough to attend a show out there, but same sort of thing is hopefully that gets off the bucket list here sooner rather than later. I have to ask about
Yes.
progress. I have to ask about RevPro because obviously you're carrying both of their championships. One you're carrying though for the first time, one you've carried before. Is there maybe a bit of a different mindset there? Do you approach carrying them differently when again you've had one and haven't before on the other?
Um, I mean, not really. I feel like I just go out there. I do my thing. Um, yeah, one promotion I work as a bad guy, one promotion I work as a good guy. So I feel like maybe when I go to work, and every a different week is different because they're like, oh, like one day you'll have to be a bad guy, or like let's say for example, Saturday Sundays are the show, and then Saturday you have to be the bad guy, Sunday you have to be the good guy, and I'm like, I feel so like bipolar right now or something or whatever. I'm just like mad, one day, and then the next day I'm like, come on guys, like this is so cool, so but it is such a huge honor to be holding these titles. I mean, I'm the first and only Filipina and Canadian to ever hold these
Very
titles. And
cool.
yeah, and I feel like that's such a huge accomplishment. There's not a lot of foreign. Like I still consider myself like foreigner here.
Mhm.
So it's a huge deal for imports to come here and actually like you know to to climb the ladder and like, be where I'm at, because that's
Mhm.
like that's the goal. Like these promotions are like the two largest promotions in the UK or maybe in the world. So
Mhm.
it's such a cool moment for me and experience.
It's very cool to see too, because again, you look at yourself and then you look at Zoe Lucas and Mariah May and really the push forward that the women's scene is having there. Just maybe talk to me a little bit about those two specifically and then the scene as a whole.
Mariah May. Hmm.
That's why I
No.
left that one fairly open ended. I didn't know how
Hmm.
you would feel on that one.
No. No, you know what? Like she's amazing. She's seriously she's such a go-getter. She's so hungry. She is newer to wrestling, which is, like we've all been there. That's cool. But the main thing is that like she's very hungry and she's determined to be really good in wrestling, and like for me, it's like I respect that a lot. Um, she's got so much ideas, I guess when she goes and wrestles me, and like I respect that, like it's like it kind of like reminds me of when I first started wrestling, and I just wanted to be like the best of the best, and I wanted to wrestle like everyone and everywhere, and like I just like go get her. So it's nice to see that, so I really think that she's gonna do well in this business, and she's gonna accomplish a lot of things if she keeps going. um Zoe Lucas is just phenomenal. She's so great. She's got a great character too. Um, Especially when she's screaming and she's making, all like the fans like cringe, even like myself, and I'm just like, oh God, like it really hurts. Ow. Yeah, but it's just like, we've had a great feud and it's still ongoing, and um she's just really great to work with as well. a lot of ideas coming in, and it's great. It's great that the women's division of RevPro has been flourishing, better than ever.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And it's one of the reasons that I am incredibly excited to have you back on the show sooner rather than later, Gisele. But I want to ask, because it's always how I like closing the show out. And you are also a big believer in manifesting your goals, getting them out there. So what's next? What would you like to do next? Somewhere to travel, someone you want to work, or anything in between that you want to have happen in the near future for you?
I mean, I feel like right now, at the point of my career, I feel like I'm ready for the next steps. Wherever that is, I feel like I'm going to manifest right now, a contract somewhere. I've always said that I'm not going to think about it and, make it play my mind and then just make me go crazy. But I'm just going to put it out there in the world that, I'm ready for a contract, and wherever I end up, I'll be ready.
And I guarantee you will have a fan in me on that one, personally and professionally, because this has been an
Thank
absolute
you.
blast. It's been very, very cool to get the opportunity to chat with you for the first time, and hopefully not the last time. But if people want to keep up to date with you until then, whether it's your work inside the ring or anything in between, where can they do so and how can they find you?
So you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Gisele Shaw 08.
I would
And then I also
recommend it,
have
friends.
oh, sorry. And I also have a YouTube channel coming out soon. And you can find me on TikTok if you want to, see like a different side of Gisele Shaw rather than just the wrestler.
I would suggest it, friends, if the 20-something minutes that we have had right now is any indication, Gisele is a hell of a person. Stumbled over my words there, but we'll figure that one out later. I really, really appreciate the time. If you guys want to support her, all of the links will be in the description of this video, of this audio podcast. And if you want to stay up to date with the latest and greatest on our end, feel free to give us a follow at Love Wrestling CA. Gisele, I'll say it again, even once we stop recording. I told you I'd say it a million times, and I'm going to hit that number. Thanks again. It means a lot you took the time today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. Friends, for Gisele, I've been Spencer Love. I'll talk to you on the next one.